In my video today, I will take you on a narrated walk along the elevated walkway in Domino Park in Brooklyn. And along the way, we will see signs of the old Domino sugar refinery throughout the park, starting with some salvaged syrup tanks. The sunset is just too good to completely pass up before we begin our trip though. There were originally 14 of these syrup tanks, and the remaining 4 make up the syrup tank garden. These tanks were originally located right next to the main building when they were in use. Before we climb up to the elevated walkway, you can see some old screw converters that were used during the sugar refining process. You will spot these in other locations around the park, and they are being used to frame over 100 different types of plants. As I noted on my previous Domino Park video, the wind was crazy on the day that I filmed. So as much as I don't like using music over the top of videos, in this instance I was left with little choice. Trust me, it sounds far better than the gale force wind that was blowing. Before we talk about the children's park, you can see a row of bollards down below. These were original mooring bollards that were used to secure dock ships delivering raw sugarcane to the factory. Also down below, we see the children's park, and I think that this is a really cool feature. The design of the playground is meant to resemble the entire sugar making process, based on how the factory once looked. The artifacts that you see are all new, but they were made from salvaged equipment from the factory itself. Throughout the journey through the playground, there are also signs inside that were based on the original signs that once adorned the factory. The idea by the artist on the design of the playground is that the children enter the log cabin at the beginning of the structure as raw sugarcane. Then they mimic the sugar refining process as they go through the various buildings, and they finally exit as sugar cubes. It kind of reminds me of the days when I was a kid back in England, and we would go to the adventure playground. The kids get to climb, crawl, cross walkways, go down slides, and then rinse and repeat. The hope being that the kids learn social dynamics as they pass through the playground and navigate challenging obstacles along the way. Just beyond the children's park, there is a little walkway that you can see, and that structure was originally a hoist bridge used for moving sugar throughout the plant. The elevated walkway itself that I am currently on is framed by 21 original columns from the sugar factory warehouse. You will also find valves, dials, wheels, and ladders from the original factory. In fact, there are so many artifacts that I didn't even find them all. I am a big sign guy. I love looking at original factory signage. Yet despite that, I couldn't find any in the park. I know it is there, I just didn't find it. That's interesting. There's a guy down there with a camera. You don't suppose that he is a fellow YouTuber, do you? Well, I couldn't let it go. A couple of days after filming this, I went to YouTube to see who else had recently filmed at Domino Park. And lo and behold, I found the channel for A Couple Goes Abroad, featuring Vlada and Isaac. The link to their channel is in the description. Do me a favour and check out their channel. In fact, why not go ahead and subscribe to them? If you look through their videos, try and find the Domino Park video. In that video, you will see me filming Isaac from atop the elevated walkway, while he films me. At the end of the walkway is perhaps the most noticeable part of Domino Park. The 80-foot high gantry cranes that were used to unload the sugarcane from the docked ships. Hopefully they have good surveillance, because I would imagine that these cranes are a target for budding YouTube climbers. There is just one more part to talk about once we reach the bottom of the accessible ramp. I hope that you enjoyed today's educational trip around Domino Park. I didn't find every artifact. There are still many dials, valves and signs that I need to find, but that will be for another trip. Normally I don't do the whole like, share and subscribe nonsense. I think that people know what to do by now. However, if you like my New York City history tours, then please consider subscribing so that you don't miss any of them. I will be uploading a new New York City history video every Thursday. The last part of the park that we see are the crane tracks that run the length underneath the elevated walkway. Can you just imagine how these operated back in the day? It's quite amazing, isn't it?